It is nearly time to say goodbye to 2020, and it's fitting that this hellscape of a year ends with war. But I think we've already had a goodbye on the black and gold. My reasoning behind it, quite like why I'm drinking this lovely double gin and tonic, will be explained in the next few minutes. This is NXT Graded. The NXT North American Championship on the line to start us off. Leon Ruff putting it up against former champion Johnny Gargano. Gargano's still livid after what happened last week. It even cuts off the video package showing us what happened last week where Leon Ruff beat him. He runs down Ruff before the match starts, even gives him a cheap shot before the bell, and it's pretty much all Gargano with the exception of a couple of flurries from the champion. Even goes for that crucifix pin again, but Gargano sees it coming this time. Looks like he's going to finish him off with a super kick, and here comes Damian Priest to run distraction. This gives Ruff an opening to try and get back into this. Gargano shuts him down once again. Gargano hits one final beat as he makes the cover. Damian Priest pulls Leon Ruff out of the ring, apologizes, and then bops him in the face. The referee sees this, calls for the disqualification, giving the win to Leon Ruff. Priest helps Ruff up the ramp as Johnny Gargano, just livid in the ring, still hasn't got his belt back. Flippin' heck, Johnny failure. Opening was a B, very much played out like last week did, but it was still good fun. This is a very unique situation having Leon Ruff in there, and it plays out a little bit more as the night goes on. Also, why don't more people use the get my mate to punch me in the face for the DQ shenanigan? Seems woefully underused. I'm surprised more heels haven't done that. Cameron Grimes is backstage gloating about beating up Dexter Lumis last week. He put a burlap sack over his head and wiped him out with the cave-in outside the ring. This is leading to a blindfold match between the two. Grimes is going to win, and then, you guessed it, he's going to the moon! And that match is happening right now. It's the zombie referee, but not the zombie, but definitely the referee from the Haunted House of Terror. Little caveat thrown in there. They keep referencing that. So they put the burlap sacks on their head as the match gets underway. Cameron Grimes becomes the king of slapstick style, just bouncing around the ring, can't find Dexter Lumis, but he ends up bopping the referee and stomping a mud hole in the ref. He can't see, he thinks he's attacking Lumis. When his mask comes off, he realizes, oh no, I was beating up the ref. Then they end up just, hood's coming off. They end up just fighting in ring. All around the ring, Lumis is beating up Cameron Grimes. Grimes climbs over the barricade and gets away as Lumis stares on. And that's it. Oh, C-. Very rare lack of focus for a match like this. Like, if you're going to do a blindfold, I don't get why you don't build to something like that. You can have some fun with that concept if you're going to do it. They kind of shotgunned the match here this week on NXT and then didn't even give us any real conclusive finish. It just kind of went nowhere. You know, you keep referencing the zombie ref. I'm waiting for that to become a thing. I actually thought more would come of this later in the night, whether we dip back into this story, but we don't. That was a thing. Yeah. A surprising lack of focus for a bit on NXT this week. Backstage, Regal admonishes Damian Priest for getting involved in the North American Championship match, and Priest is just having a laugh about the fact that Ruff is the North American Champion, something that Leon Ruff takes great exception to when he overhears. Priest sort of cools things down, admits that he overstepped his mark, and Leon Ruff slaps him in the face and storms off. Fire in the eyes, Leon Ruff here. We get a video package of Shotzi Blackheart. She is in the workshop. She's building something. There's sparks flying everywhere. And she tells Candice LeRae to get herself an army because next month they're going to war. As the sound of War Pigs by Black Sabbath plays in the background. This is the official announcement. NXT TakeOver WarGames happening next month. The final TakeOver of the year. And it's going to be WarGames. Really liked the video package. I mean, it's not William Regal on a balcony shouting, WarGames! the bar's quite high when it comes to delivering the WarGames announcement. I think we might get that still, but I thought this was great. This was a solid package to get us into the spirit of the WarGames season. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell are teaming up for the first time ever. Next, they are taking on Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter. Kacy and Kacy continue to have their stuff together as a tag team. Some solid tag team technicals from them. Indi Hartwell dominates Kacy Catanzaro for a bit. Kayden Carter gets the hot tag. She ends up running wild, but the teamwork and the shenanigans of Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell overwhelm Team Kacy. We see Indi give Catanzaro a big boot on the outside of the ring as Candice LeRae pulls the hair of Kayden Carter, ends up dropping her and then hitting the wicked stepsister for the 1, 2, 3. C+ for this one, just a showcase match really for the new team of Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Kacy and Kacy are a really good team, and I feel like they've just sort of transitioned into this role of sort of jobbers with benefits, i.e. they've got theme music and stuff. They are capable of loads. I do hope in 2021 we see a real force, a real energy behind them. Because you could put them in a women's tag title match. I genuinely think if you have the right energy behind them, and they'd be great. But this is more establishing Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell as a new force, and it did serve that purpose well. Arturo Ruas in action. We even get like a 10-second bumper to advertise that he's up next. When we come back from break, he's already in the ring. Well, this is some sort of jobber paradox that we've got here. You did a little video to advertise him, but he's already in the ring. Schrodinger's jobber? I don't know. But he's in there against Kushida, and he starts really strong, tearing him down with some of that heady combination of mixed martial arts styles that he's got, out-wrestling Kushida until Kushida manages to get an opening with some explosive strikes, taking the lead over there, and then wearing him down with some submissions of his own. We see Ruas try and go for a leg lock to take Kushida to the ground. Kushida manages to turn it into a novelty roll-up pin to get the 1, 2, 3 over Ruas. Kushida winning the match, and the match was a B. Some good stuff here. I feel like we've only sort of whet the appetite of what these guys could potentially do together. Like, I hope this is the beginning of something bigger for Ruas as part of NXT. I really do. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in action against Ember Moon and Toni Storm. We get the trope of the babyface tag team before this saying, hey, we're mates tonight, but when it comes to the title, we're not mates, and all this stuff. Despite the heels getting an early lead, Storm and Moon take the lead going into the break, but this leads to Toni Storm getting worn down by Raquel Gonzalez. This match is pretty much a focus, a showcase for Raquel Gonzalez, since it feels like every time she's in the ring, she's unstoppable. It's only when the tag comes to Dakota Kai the heel team finally start to reel back a little bit. And Raquel gets some really good bits in here, good chances to showcase her range. There's at one point where Ember Moon is going for the tag from the other side of the ring, and we see Gonzalez roll out of the ring, slide up into the other side of the ring, and pounce Ember Moon out of the opposition corner. It looked great. Like, she had some great set pieces in here. Toni Storm does get that hot tag in the end, and this match begins to break down from there. We see Storm and Kai fighting in the ring. Ember Moon dives onto Raquel Gonzalez, wiping her out on the announce table, and in the ring, Toni Storm catches Dakota Kai with a sneaky roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. Just as Storm and Moon are making their way to the back, they're jumped by Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. They throw them back into the ring, where Raquel Gonzalez peels out a couple of those one-arm power bombs for good measure as LeRae and Indi look on. They're sort of mentioning on commentary that we're going to see maybe this is going to be the WarGames team. This is Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell currying some favour with Kai and Gonzalez. Makes sense if that's where we go. The match was a B+. Really good stuff from everybody here. Once again, showcasing the depth of the women's division. Ember Moon looks solid in there. Toni looks solid in there. Dakota as snidey heel is great. But Raquel Gonzalez stood out to me here. Like, there was so much emphasis on what she does. And every time I see her in the ring, she's getting better. I think a real turning point was that match against Rhea Ripley. Like, that is where we're really seeing Raquel Gonzalez go. Timothy Thatcher takes on former Thatcher's Thatcher Academy student August Gray in this next match. It's pretty much all Thatcher with the exception of a flurry by Gray. He ends up hitting a top rope springboard, but on the way down, he gets punched in the face by Timothy Thatcher. Thatcher very shortly after this drops him with a double underhook suplex and gets that front face lock in for the submission victory. He goes to give it in one more time after the bell, but Tommaso Ciampa makes his way to the ring, sizes up Thatcher. Thatcher just backs away, takes a powder, gets away. After the match, Ciampa says quite simply backstage that he wants a fight against Timothy Thatcher. So that'll be a thing that happens at some point. This was a B. Some good stuff here from Thatcher. Enjoyed the work that he's been doing as this technical menace, and cheeky little build to Thatcher and Ciampa. Yeah, this was good. Damian Priest comes out for his match. Who's he against? We never know, because Johnny Gargano jumps in before the match starts. They end up brawling all around the ring, and Leon Ruff makes his presence felt just as Gargano is thrown back in the ring and Damian Priest is getting onto the apron. Ruff jumps to drop kick Gargano. Gargano moves and Priest absorbs it all and goes flying off the apron. We end up seeing Priest and Gargano still fighting, with Ruff sort of avoiding them, and it actually ends up with Ruff dumping both of them outside of the ring. They realise what's happened, they jump into the ring, and Ruff takes his exit, gets out of there with his championship. That was cool. During the break coming up, we see Leon Ruff chatting with William Regal, and he says he's not a joke and he wants a match against both Gargano and Priest. You get in there, lad. Get in there, lad. B+ for this. I love the intensity of the brawl with Gargano and Priest, and Ruff is a really unique player in this situation. Like this played out in a really intriguing way. I guess they don't want to go with the atypical, the guy who has lost all his life just keeps fluking out wins. This is a guy who's going, actually no, I want to prove myself and I want to get amongst it with them, you know? It's a bit like Bill Bailey in Strictly Come Dancing. Doesn't want to be the joke, he actually wants to go in there and win the thing. Wow, a Strictly reference in Graded. I don't know how many universes have collapsed when I've said that. We see footage of William Regal knocking on Boa's door last night. Boa answering the door, massive bags under his eyes, saying that he's in hiding. He's not leaving the house. Xia Li is in hiding also, and he keeps saying that she is coming. He then shuts the door on William Regal. Debutant for NXT. The Boa stuff's really interesting. Xia Li stuff has been really cool, and Boa being added to that has made for a storyline that I'm intrigued to see play out. The NXT Women's Championship on the line in our main event of the evening. Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai. They have built this beautifully through the night, made this feel like the big deal that it is. Ripley arriving in the arena, Io Shirai arriving in the arena. We've had commentary from wrestlers in NXT picking who they think will win the match. Like, this is built up to be a big old deal. And we see Ripley overpowering in the early stages of this match, drops Io Shirai with an electric chair drop on the apron, the hardest part of the apron, I might add. And as they go to break, we see the referee and medical personnel checking on Io Shirai. And I was kind of thinking, is this for real? Is that the end of the match? But then it's a picture-in-picture break. I guess they're doing something different to get through the break, because after that the match carried on and Shirai was absolutely fine, so hopefully all is well there. Shirai can't get into this one until she lands an avalanche German suplex, and from there she hits a Shiote, she hits a low drop kick, she gets a crossface in on Rhea Ripley, but Ripley powers out. Ripley starts bleeding from the ear after the crossface, and she just sort of just brushes it off, cracks on and starts breaking down Io Shirai some more. She gets the prism trap in onto Io Shirai and nearly gets a tap out had Shirai not made the ropes. We then see Ripley go for the riptide. Shirai turns it into an armbar. Ripley makes the ropes once again. Ripley is kicking out of everything, a tiger feint kick and a missile drop kick. She manages to avoid the over the moonsault as well, and it looks as if Ripley is going to push back into this match. That is until she gets powerbombed off the apron through the announce table. Io Shirai gets back into the ring, and we're all watching Rhea Ripley as she's crawling back to her feet. She manages to slide into the ring at 9, and then off the top rope comes Io Shirai with a moonsault. Bang! 1, 2, 3. Io Shirai retains the NXT Women's Championship, just like that. Really creative finish there. After the match, Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai, they embrace on the ramp. It's a quite an emotional moment, actually, between the two of them. And then Ripley takes a leap up the ramp and leaves Io Shirai to hold up the NXT Women's Championship. It's an A+ for the main event for me. Like, these guys just went at it. It was an excellent way to cap off the in-ring action for NXT this week. Just a hot main event, well built over the last couple of weeks. Really felt like something special, and it was aggressive when it needed to be aggressive, and the finish was really creative as well. Like Io Shirai just picking a 1 week moment in Rhea Ripley's match just to catch her off guard and get the win. I thought it was a really cool finish, and I'm gonna call it, I think that's Rhea Ripley's last match in NXT. I think that was Rhea Ripley's swan song from the Black and Gold. Everything about this has felt like this was the build to Ripley's big opportunity to win the belt back. And the fact that she didn't, and it was clean, and the emotional bit on the ramp at the end, this feels like Ripley's done with NXT. This feels like Ripley's on the way up. We've had rumblings for a while that Ripley is on her way to either Raw or SmackDown, and I wouldn't be surprised if she pops up on either of them the night after Survivor Series, or, you know, the show after Survivor Series. I think this is Ripley leaving NXT. I think if you want that sort of big menacing figure in NXT, the torch has very much been passed to Raquel Gonzalez in that regard. You know, she has proved the way that she's been wrestling lately. But the clean win was very much the sign-off for Rhea Ripley from NXT. I'm calling it. I'm nobody, but that's what I read into from this. And if that is the case, thank you to Rhea Ripley. It's been flippin' ace to talk about your rise through the last couple of years in NXT. And here's to great things ahead. Here's to great things ahead. What a way to go out. And as Shirai is holding the NXT Women's Championship at the top of the ramp, Finn Balor appears through the crowd to talk to everybody. He congratulates Io Shirai on her win, but before he can get down to business as the NXT champion, out comes Pat McAfee's lads. Their music has got that shock sound effect, similar to the one that Undisputed Era have. And I know that's very deliberate. Pat and the boys, Only Lorcan, Danny Burch and Pete Dunne, all walk down saying that while Finn's been away, they've made it their house. They list off all their victims and they tell Finn Balor to hand over the NXT Championship or become a victim as well. They surround the ring. It looks like they're going to give Finn Balor a hiding. And I don't think he's ready for a hiding yet. Like, his jaw is still out here. Bless him. I don't think he's ready for a hiding yet. Finn Balor then gets back on the mic and he says, well, the mice are always going to play while the cat is away. Well, the cat is back. And look at what he dragged in. Which I think is Finn Balor attempting to go for an idiom combo. He could have upped that. Come off the back of that by saying, you boys think you're the cat's pajamas and you act like the cat that got the cream. But curiosity killed the cat. And I'm the bee's knees. Oh, bees, not cats. Oh.
Combo breaker!
Maybe next time. Finn Balor brings out the Undisputed Era. First time we've seen them all together in quite some time. They've got what looks like new merch. They're all stood together. They bomb to the ring and a fight breaks out all over the place. Crowd are losing their mind as we see everybody fighting everywhere. We just catch at the right time Adam Cole booting Pat McAfee right in the face, which is a very satisfying thing to see. And as we close out NXT this week with just a wild brawl all over the place. Final segment of the night was an A+. Great to see Finn Balor back. His words are short, succinct and powerful. Pat McAfee, my God, what a revelation as a heel mic worker. Like, he's so good at being an arsehole. He's so good. And then the return of the Undisputed Era felt like a big deal. It felt special. And the brawl at the end was just that shot of energy that builds us nicely, maybe towards, I don't know, a game of war between all these combustible elements. Maybe. Great way to wrap up NXT this week, top marks. Overall this week though, NXT is gonna get a B. NXT this week was a bit like drinking a double vodka and tonic that hasn't been mixed, in the sense that it wasn't until right at the very end where you suddenly started to spark up. Like the stuff early on ranged from good to very good, but it was sort of after the bell rang on the women's championship match that I think everything really kicked into high gear, and this felt like a big episode of NXT. So whilst there was a bit of a mixed bag all over the place, still an enjoyable episode of the show. Bring on the road to WarGames. Hey, and bring on Kevin Owens on commentary next week, subbing in for Wade Barrett. Might put to bed some of the rumours that Kevin Owens and I are the same person. That would be helpful. Stay safe. Love you, bye.